Feels so odd being situated like this. We're just getting comfy, okay? Yodelay. We're sitting down in this video. Feels kind of weird, but in a refreshing way. Greetings, weary travelers, fellow humans, and fellow sleepover participants. A few weeks ago, I sent out a few posts on the various social medias to ask you guys, funny enough, to ask you guys to ask me questions about me. So here we are, doing a good old Q&A, because I felt like it. Still be sure to grab your cozies and snackies, because it's not a sleepover without them. All right, let's get into it. Behind the scenes questions. Roughly how long do you spend on editing, and what software do you use? I use Final Cut Pro. It's pretty nice. And it kind of depends on the video I'm making. By making like Bridezilla videos, those have become like a formula, you know? Like I know how to... I've had times where this is not the smartest way to go about, you know, making these videos, but there have been days where I was able to record, edit, and post all in a single day. This is not a smart thing to do, as I said. This is not a very sustainable thing to do, and I am trying my best to be more healthy about that kind of thing. But those videos, I can get those out super fast. Although the more I've edited, the more, like, you know, I know my style, I know what I'm trying to go for, which, as you know, is random goofiness, because that's my kind of humor. And so even depending on the kind of video I'm making, whether it be like reading stories or just chatting or a whole bunch of other content I want to get into, but I'm never patient enough to sit down and actually do them. Like I said, the longer I've done this, the more... It doesn't take me that long to make videos. Just depends on like how much footage I have, how long said footage is. You know, like a few hours a day, or on those unfortunate days where I do everything in one day. Don't do that, it's not good. And yeah, I really like Final Cut. It just like has everything I need, in some ways more. Like I'm still learning how to use certain tools, you know, every day. It's pretty fun. What kind of equipment have you invested in, and is there equipment on your wish list that you're saving up for? Absolutely. So Final Cut was one of those, and also a Mac computer to use that program on. I got this microphone for like 50 bucks. It's pretty nice. You really don't need a lot to get started. And the camera I actually got as a gift from my in-laws. It's pretty nice. The brand is Nexigo, and it's just like a webcam. Really basic, I almost said microphone. A really basic camera. I definitely want to save up for a much nicer camera that is on its way, you know. But it's nice that I have equipment that's honestly good enough for the kind of content I'm making. Some content I can even make just, you know, with my phone and everything, and I can put it into Final Cut, and, you know, it works.
That'll work.
I really want to get a better computer, because there's a whole bunch of content I want to do. Like I want to review movies, I want to tell more stories about my life in, you know, goofy ways. Goodbye, son. You know, react to more silly things on the internet, make more music. I've been having more and more ideas like that, but have, you know, for one reason or another, just not have been sitting down and really like working on those things. Yeah, I want to get a better computer to like play games and stuff, because there's a lot of like just silly goofy games that I just want to play. Like I'd love to like play a little bit more Minecraft or Fall Guys, or get a group of people together to play games like that, and like board games and stuff, because I just think that would be really fun. Because I enjoy watching that kind of content, and board games are so fun, and just playing games is fun and goofy, and that's how we like to keep it on this channel. As you guys know, I just like to keep it chill and fun here. Like I like this channel to be a place where people can just relax and come hang out, have an internet sleepover. Anyway, we know I'm very good at rambling. This is gonna be a long video. So yeah, computer, camera, probably a nicer microphone. I mean, this one's pretty good. Like I said, I got it for like 50 bucks on Amazon. But there's definitely some things that are kind of on the downside of a cheaper microphone. There's a piece of my desk that's broken again. Shoot. That's gonna be a later problem. It's definitely a goal to get better equipment so that the content can be a little bit better quality, but I think I'm doing not too bad right at this moment. Like, one downside of this camera though is that it's constantly going out of focus, as I'm sure you guys have noticed. I'm sorry that happens. I do as best as I can. And it's hard too because I move around a lot. I'm that kind of talker where I use my hands and I just move around and the camera's like the camera doesn't like it. Too bad, you have to deal with it. This YouTuber is a wiggler.
You annoy me right now. Every breath you draw in my presence annoys me.
So yeah, I don't really have specific things on my wish list, but it's definitely those things. Like, I want to get better equipment so I can make more content. What's one moment in your life that made you go, I'm an adult now? I think buying a car. That was like, as many of you know, that's a pretty big investment. That's a pretty big like commitment. And so when that happened, like, there was a mix of like that sort of joy of like, we just bought a car, and also the like, oh great, more debt we have to deal with. So that was definitely a like, I'm an adult now moment. Like, I'm allowed to do this. Ooh, also life hack for going and buying a vehicle. And I guess it also depends if you don't know necessarily what car you're buying, because we like looked it up beforehand. We already knew what car we wanted, but if you go late enough, they won't try to like upsell you. They'll just sell you the car and then everyone goes home. So, little life hack for you there. I'm curious how things are going where you moved to. Do you like it? Is there a lot of things to do? Yeah, it's pretty good here. For those of you who don't know, I'm in Virginia. We moved here like essentially a couple of years ago. Like, more like a year and a half, because in March it'll be 2 years. Yeah, we got out of college and then, you know, I'm doing this. I can be anywhere. And my husband got a job out here, and so we came out. And it's nice here. There's a good amount of stuff to do here. There's like museums, there's a library here, which is really nice. I've been there. I remember there was a time where I was interested in going to like a farmer's market, and I looked up like, is there any around? There's a bunch around, and I haven't gotten around to doing that, but I think that would be really fun. There's various places to go like hiking. There's cool art everywhere in the city. That's just like always really cool to see. There's lots of parks and stuff. Not many complaints, except the humidity. It's kind of gross during the summertime. We are fortunate that we have very, very good air conditioning in our apartment. That's really nice because it's disgusting out there. Because I'm used to some humidity because I'm from Washington State and it's humid there, but like not like this. But yeah, generally like as a place, you know, it's honestly pretty random that we came out here. It just like happened to be the place that my husband got a job. So we're like, all right, I guess we're going to Virginia, and we'd gone from Utah to here. So pretty big move for those of you who don't know. And yeah, biggest complaint is like being away, so far away from friends and family. That is not my favorite. It would be nice to see your wedding drama if you had any, and how beautiful were you in a wedding dress? I think I look pretty good. Thankfully, my whole like wedding, you know, process, everything was pretty chill. I say the most drama there was I was very indecisive about a lot of things. And I think it's because I wanted to, you know, please everybody. Want to make everyone happy, but also me happy, because that is a genuinely difficult part in like wedding planning, all of that. Like, you're trying to meet all those demands and stuff, and it is quite stressful, even for a pretty chill wedding. Yeah, that was pretty much most of that. Is like, I was just I kind of confused people because I just like couldn't figure out what I wanted for certain things. People ended up like spending money on some things that I ended up like changing my mind about, and I felt really bad about that. It happens, you know. That's most of it. Was like some miscommunications, which were definitely happening because I was so indecisive. So live and learn, communicate, be straightforward about what you want. So yeah, that's pretty much the gist of like what happened there. Other than that, the wedding was lovely. It was great. So my wedding drama is kind of boring, honestly. There wasn't a lot there. I'm glad, honestly. I'm glad it was boring in that way. Are you in contact with some other YouTubers maybe? If you are, how is that community from the inside? Yeah, I'm, you know, buddies with some like fellow small YouTubers that I've met mostly through like, because there was a time where I was doing like lots of networking. I've met like lots of just really cool, amazing people. And yeah, I'm definitely not in the know with like bigger YouTubers or anything. Why would I be when I'm this tiny? I mean, that'd be cool if I ever, you know, get to know bigger YouTubers and do like maybe collabs with them. So yeah, I'm in connection with some like, you know, also small YouTubers, and that community is, you know, so far I've experienced very wholesome, very supportive. We like, you know, watch each other's content and comment and, you know, just supportive vibes, you know. Favorite kind of animal is guinea pigs, of course. Some of you may already know that I've just been obsessed with guinea pigs for forever, ever since I had a couple of them in like high school. I just fell in love, and I've been in love ever since. You gotta sneeze. So yes, that's like my ultimate favorite. I really love pygmy marmosets. Those are like those really tiny monkeys. They're so cute. Most animals I find very adorable. So, but guinea pigs like number one, pygmy marmosets number two, I think. Yes. No, I adore guinea pigs. They are just so freaking cute, dude. I can't wait until I can have one again. It's like when we do end up moving, it's like that's like one of my like, please, I need one. Just so cuddly and sweet and lovely. What hobbies do you have? I love to work out. Working out has always been like my happy space, specifically like lifting. When I got into lifting in high school, I just like fell in love with it. I love working with weights. I love, just especially as they get heavier, you just like, I'm strong. Just like that's such a lovely feeling for me. And I just love like being active. I like doing a variety of things. Like I love lifting. I really like jump roping. Not so big on running. Just never really been that into it, you know. I do it occasionally, and like sometimes I can get in that like running, I think it's called runner's high. Like sometimes that's nice, but meh. I'm a fan of like most like of the typical things you think of, like going in, working with weights, doing cardio stuff, going swimming. I love all that kind of stuff. So that's like the biggest hobby in my life. I love reading. I love mostly like nonfiction. No, that's all. I got them mixed up. I even had the thought like, oh, I gotta say the right one, and I said the wrong one. I mean, I like nonfiction, but I love fiction. I always have. I grew up reading like Percy Jackson. I'm into Brandon Sanderson's like Mistborn and other Cosmere series because my husband introduced me to them, and they are fantastic. I love everything about them. So I'm really into those right now. I loved like the, you know, like Hunger Games, Divergent, you know, like all those book series growing up, like sort of dystopian thing. I definitely loved that. Anything just like fantasy, I just loved. Same with like movies. Like I love fantasy, medieval, sci-fi fantasy like stories. Like Lord of the Rings. In fact, my sister would kind of make fun of me because I'd be rewatching it like all the time. It was just, I loved and still love Lord of the Rings. It's one of my all-time favorites. I watched it pretty much every week growing up. Like, and I was pretty young watching this too. Just, you know, watching all the all the fighting scenes, all the kind of gore, just like, oh, I love this. Just this little like, I don't know, 7-year-old. I was pretty young when I started watching it. Just fell in love with it. It's actually the Hobbits theme. That was like one of the reasons I fell in love with music. I love the Hobbits theme. It just like fills my heart with warmth and happiness every single time I hear it. But yeah, like same with movies, like almost anything like fantasy, sci-fi, fiction, just fiction. Love it. Love getting my hands on it. I just love being transported to like that other world, especially in that realm of like storytelling. It's just so like, it's so awesome how creative authors can be. Creating worlds and creating characters and all of that. I just always loved that. Another one is watching YouTube. Big surprise. A lot of you know, like I've said multiple times, YouTube was like my safe space growing up. So was like reading books, watching movies, like getting into stories was like my, like, I loved, it just like made me happy, you know, just safe space, right? So I love that. I've gotten to a little bit of, what's it called? Embroidery. I haven't been doing a lot of it, but it's pretty relaxing. I enjoy it every time I do it. Yeah, I'm pretty simple in that regard. It really doesn't take much to make me happy. You give me a book, a movie, weights. I'm happy as a clam. What keeps you smiling? You guys. Getting all mushy here. But it's true. Like, you guys make me very happy, and I'm very grateful that you support the channel as much as you do. The channel itself makes me so happy. I love creating in itself, whether it's the stupid stuff I make or when I'm making music or talking about my life or, you know, just making content. It's great. I love it. It's incredible that I'm able to actually do this, like actually pursue this dream I've had practically my whole life. Like ever since I really got into it over a decade ago, I just like immediately, there was even a time where like I was like 12, 13 years old and I recorded like a Minecraft Let's Play and then I deleted it because I was too embarrassed. I don't think I'll ever find that. If I ever do, maybe I'll share it. I don't know. But yeah, no, it just like heavily inspired me like ever since then. It very much makes me smile that I actually somehow get to do this and that I somehow have an audience that puts up with me. Kind of similar to like the hobbies, like something I'll say a lot, like especially if I'm in a grumpy mood one day, but then I start working out, I'll just like turn to my husband and go like endorphins, because I'm just like I'm feeling the happy emotions you get when you're, you know, are active and stuff, because that's a thing. Endorphins are great. But like any kind of story that I can like sink my teeth into. I've even thought about doing like more book reviews, like poetry reviews, because you all know I'm very good at not shutting up. You give me anything, I will talk about it for forever, as we are doing in this video. I'm like maybe a third of the way through the questions and I am nowhere near being done. But yes, those, like, for obvious reasons, my hobbies also make me smile. You know, my friends and my family and silly things that make me laugh, because I've very much always been a very goofy person, if you can't tell. I have that like dumb sense of humor. Like, it's so easy to make me laugh and smile, which whenever I'm not doing too hot, that's kind of nice. That something simple can turn my day around. Water break! Why are you so obsessed to be perfect, do perfect? Why are you overthinking your own content? Oh, we're getting real with it. That like obsession to be perfect, I have struggled with my whole life. And I more and more these days, I'm really like peeling back those layers of like, why do I get so fixated on this? And there's some things I don't want to like go too into detail with because they're a little too personal, but I am okay with sharing like that I do struggle with that, and that I'm continuing in my journey of, you know, trying to let go of that perfection, that my worth is not tied to that I am worthy just by myself of love and of acceptance and of that, like, I'm just worthy, and so are you if you struggle with similar things. And it makes sense that seeps into my content, that I start to overthink my content. I want to be as good of a human as I can be, you know, as I say in my videos, like, it's a worthwhile endeavor to try to be a good human. But oftentimes when you're kind of like me and you really struggle with trying to be perfect, it just turns into like, you don't leave a lot of room for yourself. And I've definitely participated in that kind of harsh inner critic, you know? It's really hard to let go of. That's why this comment really hit home. I was like, oh no, emotions. Because it's very real. It's difficult for someone like me to accept that, like, you know, I'm not gonna be, and I am not for everyone. I'm not going to please everyone. And yet I still try. What are those reasons? You know, what are the reasons behind why I do that? And it turns into that whole thing of like trying to be perfect, try to like always have the right opinion, always have the right perspective, always know the right thing to say and stuff, when like that's so much pressure to put on myself. It's okay that I'm just a human being that is sometimes right, is sometimes wrong. That shouldn't be so demonized, you know? To just be human, to just like be okay that we're not always gonna get it right. Again, without like getting too much into it, it's very much something I struggle with that I'm sure is pretty obvious. I'm kind of transparent in that way, that I care a lot. And that, like, you know, to answer that question a little more, just I care a lot about how I can be a good human being to others, and that means a lot of different things to different groups of people, and it's kind of impossible to please everyone, especially when you care so much. And so there's also kind of an element of like just being true to yourself and trusting yourself, which I kind of have a hard time doing because I'm so preoccupied with pleasing everybody that I lose track a little bit of how I really feel, and I'm trying to do that work, to trust myself more, to know that to trust my intentions, to trust my own thoughts and opinions, to trust my content, you know? Hope that made sense. I felt a little rambly. What job did you give up to do YouTube and why? So some of you know this already, but I originally went to school for music therapy. And I still love music therapy to this day. I will always advocate for it. It is a real clinical evidence-based practice where music therapists use music to address non-musical needs. And that includes, emotional and mental, but also physical things that people struggle with. That's a very broad sort of definition of it. If you're ever interested, just look it up, musictherapy.org. Super cool stuff because it's scientifically based, using something like music to address non-musical needs. And I decided in my sophomore year of high school this is what I wanted to do, and I felt pretty strongly about it for a long time. And there's even lots of things that I learned in school that I still use today, and like in my content, in my life, like in my music, I use some like techniques I learned in school, like using the mixture of music theory and music therapy theory kind of mixed together to hopefully like make my music, comforting or, uplifting to listen to, stuff like that. But anyway, yes, the longer I went through school, the more I realized this was not what I wanted. And that was really hard to come to terms with. And because I love music. Music is one of the things I just love most about in this world. I play music, I listen to music, I make music, and I just think music is amazing. And so when I found that I could use it to help people, I was like, absolutely. But yeah, just the longer I went, the more it actually kind of started to ruin my relationship with music a little, because it got to a point where I couldn't even go pick up my instruments to practice. Because part of what you have to do to be a music therapist, you have to have a whole catalog of music memorized, practiced, especially in a therapy setting, because you don't know what that person's going to need in that moment. So you have to be prepared for anything, right? Just a whole bunch of musical skills. And so, I would practice that and everything. But yeah, the more I just went through the program, especially because it was towards the end, it was literally the semester I was going to be done and going to my internship and everything, it just didn't feel right anymore. Because like I said, I love music and I love sharing that and using that to help people as best I can. But doing it in a therapy setting just wasn't for me as much as I thought it was. And that combined with really thinking about what do I want, because, I decided this in high school, just figured oh, this seems perfect for me. And, I could always go back if I wanted, if I ever changed my mind. In fact, my program director told me that, hey, if you ever change your mind, you can come back, which was really sweet. I appreciated that. So I really sat what do I want? What do I want to do? And it's no surprise that I came to, that sort of dormant dream of being a content creator. Because one of the things I love most doing is just goofing around, making people happy, making people smile, especially if I could ever make people laugh, because that's just such a good feeling. I've always loved that, especially if it's from my dumb antics. It just more and more, I really want to try it, I want to try YouTube. And when I started and kept going, even at the points where, I was nowhere near earning money from it, stuff like that, I just loved it and still love it right now. And I'm at the point where I'm actually making money from this, and I hope to continue that. I hope to make this this is my thing for the rest of my life. On top of also, I want to be a mother, but I would love to continue to just create and be a goofball and hopefully make people happy. I don't know, it's just something I'm really passionate about. And in a therapy setting, had I continued, I probably could have done a good job. Not probably. I would have done a good job being a music therapist, but this just felt better suited for for what I really wanted. I guess help people by being a goofball. I don't know. It just felt better. It felt more right to do. And it was also terrifying to make that decision, like I've said. To leave my college program. And I still graduated, actually. I was able to switch it to just like a general studies kind of thing. And my concentration was in humanities and arts because it makes sense. That's what all of my studies was in. And I got a minor in psychology, so your girl is educated. So I still got to graduate, which is really cool. But yes, the decision to leave the program that was so special to me for so long, and especially that program was not easy to get into either. It's actually quite difficult to get into a music therapy program. So I felt a lot of guilt, a lot of just those what if this isn't the right decision? And now that I'm here, that I've been, creating and everything, I just love this so much. And it in some ways feels dumb that I left my college program to become a YouTuber. It feels cringy to say that, but whatever. Only got this one life to live. Why not? Why not go after this dream I've had for such a long time, especially in the setting that I'm extremely privileged that I'm able to pursue this full time while my lovely husband supports me, because wow, I'm very lucky. But yeah, it was very much a case of I took a leap, probably one of the biggest leaps in my entire life, to something that I didn't even know if it would work. I might have just crashed and burned, and I guess technically I still could, but I just really, at the same time, I really believed in it. I really believed I could pursue this dream of making silly content that hopefully makes people happy, like YouTube always did for me growing up. It was that was what I always really wanted to do, but I wasn't brave enough to actually go for it until now. And I'm so grateful I'm here. Feels meant to be, I guess. I don't know. Who knows? But regardless, I'm glad I'm here. And thank you for being here too, because this is literally not possible without you. Your favorite artists and why? I'm gonna assume they meant music artists, and that's certainly the one I'm most familiar with, because when it comes to any kind of artist, any other drawing, painting, my experience with that is I see it and I go, cool, I like that, and then I move on. I don't really have a lot of favorites because I'm just not really in that sphere, but music, as is obvious, very much in that sphere. I really like Pink Sweats right now. He just has a lot of just warm, cozy, lovely, acoustic kind of music. I really love, and apologies if I don't say this quite right, Hiroyuki Sawano and Linked Horizon. Those artists are the people that worked on Attack on Titan music. I love that music. It's just so good. It's so amazing. Stuff like that. I have a pretty wide of different genres, and so it's hard to pick specific ones I really like, because I just like a lot of different things. Lately I've been really into more of that acoustic, chill, feel good music. I enjoy a lot of more classical stuff. One of my all-time favorites is Molly on the Shore by Percy Granger. I both played that in high school and college, I think, actually, and it's just a really fun piece. Another one I really love is Daft Punk, specifically for their Tron Legacy soundtrack. I didn't even know that they made that soundtrack, and I was just wow, that's so cool. I just really love that whole theme. I really like Muse. I really like Steam Powered Giraffe. Yeah, that's me just kind of going through my Spotify playlist, oh, who do I have saved? It's just a whole slew of different artists. Yeah, that's just some of the favorites I have. What's your favorite part about having a YouTube channel? I've been already kind of talking about it, but just what's kind of my mission statement is I want to make fun stuff and I want to make people smile. And I adore the fact that I get to say that I feel I've been accomplishing both. I've been making fun and goofy stuff and just, making some kind of difference in people's lives along the way, whether that's just, a little chuckle at a dumb joke or a reason to smile for a second and forget about their worries of the day. Because that was again, what YouTube was for me. I could watch, I watched a lot of Let's Plays and stuff like that to kind of just get away from the world for a little bit and just have a reason to laugh and relax. Favorite comfort food? What's a favorite comfort food I have? Cheese. I really like cheese. You know, you have that moment of someone asks you something and then suddenly you've never had a thought in your entire life. Yeah, that's kind of how I'm feeling. I don't know why cheese came to mind, but I guess that's an answer. Comfort food. I'm trying to think of like meals I really like. That's like a comforting meal. I'd say like spaghetti, like a spaghetti bolognese. You know, you put meat in it and stuff. I'd say that's a comfort like meal. I've just always loved that, like that. Pasta. Yeah, spaghetti and cheese. Not necessarily together, but then you put them together and it's mac and cheese. Now that's good. This is similar to a previous question. How's your new place? What do you like most about it? The place itself is pretty good. I'd say the thing I like most about it is that I have a room for my office, which I totally was not expecting because we got like a 2-bedroom apartment. So that's lucky. I'm able to have like my whole desk and the whole setup here. If anyone's like, you know, a couple years ago when this channel started, we were in a like studio apartment. Like you could see my bed in the background. I was at just like this tiny little desk and I used it wasn't even a desk, it was like a nightstand for a while. Then we switched to like a little foldable desk you could get. Kind of like those ones where you put like a TV dinner on, but bigger sort of. And then I'd use a kitchen chair, which was so uncomfortable. I love this chair much better. It has lumbar support. It's great. So I do love that most about this apartment, that I like actually have like an office, you know, it's really cool. But yeah, our place is pretty decent. We got really lucky. The gods smiled upon us because we were moving across the country and we kind of had a time crunch because we had to both move. You know, he's finding a job and finding an apartment and moving across the country all at the same time. And so no places were getting back to us. And so when this place got back to us, they did get back to us pretty quick too, which is really nice. And at that point we were like, we will take anything, take our money, we are coming. Could have been way worse. Honestly, other than like some quirks of this apartment, it's pretty nice actually, you know, for the price and everything. It's like on the cheaper side, of course, but like for what we're paying and like the location, our neighbors, other amenities, like we have really good air conditioning, which is something I was not expecting and was like actually kind of afraid of for when it's summer out here. But like we got so fortunate that it all worked out. When we next move, which we're hoping is going to be soon-ish, we're going to be way more not throwing caution to the wind. How are you doing genuinely? Better than I have in a while, I think. I've talked a little bit about it, but moving out here, I got into like a pretty big funk for a very long time. Dare I say, like almost the whole time we've been out here, I've been working through this funk I've been having, and it's been dealing a lot with like my personal life, how I've been feeling about my content, just like my mental health overall was just such a weird place. And taking those steps to really like, kind of like what I was saying earlier in this video, peeling back some of those layers, like where is this coming from and how can I be more gentle to myself too? Because that's something I very much deal with, is that very harsh like inner critic, which doesn't help. So I'm working to have more of that habit of like, hey, let's be nice to ourselves and be gentle. Because I have a long history of not being very gentle to myself. So I'm practicing that a lot more and dealing with a lot of, you know, overthinking, and like anything in life, it's a journey. There's a lot of ups and downs, but the general like trend I feel like I've been experiencing lately, I'm feeling a lot lighter these days, which is really nice. It's really nice. Like today, I'm in a pretty good mood, you know? I actually kind of wasn't expecting to record this today, but I was like, you know, I feel like it. Let's do it. Yeah. Life's pretty okay right now. And even when it isn't, that's okay too. I'm trying to leave more space for that, you know? When did you realize you wanted to be a YouTuber? I've been kind of already been touching on that in this video, but I think like when it really clicked was when, like I said, I like recorded a little like Minecraft Let's Play when I was like 12 or 13, when I was like really getting inspired by other creators at that time. Like, I want to make stuff too. This looks awesome. So that's when I really like wanted to. And then, you know, trying to be more realistic and everything, I kind of went dormant for a while. until now, when I realized again, pretty much at the end of college, that like this is what I want to do. And so that's obviously where it became more meaningful, because then I actually did something about it and took that leap. But like when that first spark happened was when I was very young. In a lot of ways, I'm glad I didn't actually pursue until I was an adult, because I'm much more prepared for the tornado that is the internet. Things fall into place at the right times. Like I'm a believer of that like things will happen the way they're supposed to. Like everything happens for a reason kind of thing. But that was definitely like when I was really young, that's when I want to do this, but I didn't have the bravery to do it. Although in a lot of ways, I'm glad I didn't start a YouTube channel when I was like 13, you know? What's your advice on editing YouTube videos? I think one thing is you don't need like fancy equipment to make a YouTube video. You really don't. If you have like an iPad, for example, iPads come with like a free editing software that I actually made was it my first video? It's either like my first or second video ever on this channel I made on like my iPad. And I played around with a lot of like editing things. That was one of the reasons why it's kind of funny that I've like fallen so in love with like just the editing process. I really love editing. It is so much fun for me. But yeah, that's like one of the first thoughts I have is like, you don't need fancy equipment to make a YouTube video. You can honestly use free software, stuff like that. And honestly, when it comes to like editing, especially editing for the first time ever on any kind of software, whether you get a free one or if you get like Final Cut or if you get Premiere Pro, it's okay to feel a little overwhelmed. Because I know for a long time I was kind of overwhelmed. I'd say another is like give yourself time to figure out your style, because it took me a little bit of time to like figure out like what kind of my editing style was. I kind of always knew it was going to be silly and goofy, but there was a lot that I was like, oh, I'm just like playing around. Like give yourself permission to play around, figure out what your style is. And don't put too much pressure on that. Again, there's like, I've not really looked into it because I had the privilege of buying like a professional software. There's a lot of like free stuff online too that you can totally make a YouTube video totally for free, which is just like, it does not take much to make a YouTube video. Like, it really doesn't, because most, you can honestly make content like from your phone, it does not take much. It's really cool. So yeah, especially if you're like just starting out, give yourself space to like just play around, figure out what your style is, figure out what you like in editing, what you dislike, what you feel and you don't feel, stuff like that. And most of all, have fun, because I think like for myself, if I'm having fun, I think that comes through in both like me when I'm recording and when I'm editing. And I think that really comes through, and that kind of influences like how your audience will feel about it. So as much as you can, have fun with what you're creating, because I feel like that will, I guess, encourage your audience to also enjoy what you're making. Because, I also say when you don't know how to do something, do like a mixture of playing around and don't be afraid to like look it up, because there was a lot of things that I had no idea what to do, and then I found out how to do it within like 5 minutes of doing YouTube research. There's just a wealth of knowledge out there that people share to like help us all create, which is what it honestly should be about. Like, it's cool to create together. And I think we should definitely encourage that. How do you not lose your creativity, like avoiding a slump? Bruh, this one's so hard. That's kind of part of like being out here. I got into like a mental health slump, and that definitely affected my creativity. I think the hardest thing about slumps is they're sometimes kind of unavoidable, right? Like there is something to be said about like, doing your best to have a positive attitude about things, to like even when you get in a slump, like you keep moving forward, right? But it's also okay if those slumps happen. And I think it's also important to recognize where to leave ourselves space to like feel out those slumps. Kind of like when you, like any emotion that like something I've been learning, especially like if you get angry or upset, there's something to be said about like, let yourself feel those emotions and then like do whatever you need to do in a safe and healthy environment to feel out those emotions and then figure out what you're going to do next. I think in a similar vein, whenever you are approaching a slump, I think the first thing that I highly, highly recommend is be gentle with yourself. We all experience those kinds of slumps, whether it be in creativity or just in life in general, and it's so normal. You do not need to feel bad about having a slump. And I'm saying this to myself too. I think one of the hardest parts about like experiencing a slump or feeling like we're losing our creativity is like we're not always on, right? Day to day, our energies are going to fluctuate. And sometimes that's frustrating to deal with, especially when we're trying to do something creatively, right? And I think there's a certain amount of like not forcing things, because that's something that's big. And like when I'm making music, I do not want to force something, or similar in my editing. Like if I'm just not in a good mental space to either edit or record, it's just not gonna happen, and it's just not really gonna work, right? And I think like when that happens, I think my audience can tell too, like when I'm not feeling my best. So yeah, I think that's the first thing, that like be sure to validate yourself, because it's completely normal to go through slumps like that, and it's nothing to be ashamed of. In fact, in a way, try not to avoid it. I think when experiencing those moments, I encourage you to try to almost kind of embrace it and see where that takes you, right? Because I think trying to approach it in a way of trying to just avoid it entirely, at least in my experience, it doesn't really help. In fact, in some ways it can make it worse. Because times where I'm like experiencing a slump and I'm trying to like bang my head against a wall and it's not working, it's just not working. I need to go take a break. I need to do something else to try to like drum up that creativity. And again, the biggest thing that I'm trying more to do is to be gentle with myself about it, because we are only human. We're not going to always be able to like just be creative all the time, to be having endless ideas, stuff like that. So yeah, I think that's my advice. Take it as you will, that like when you're experiencing some kind of slump, try to be kind to yourself about it, and in a way try to embrace it and just see where it takes you. You may be surprised at how much your creativity will come back when you don't force it. That's actually kind of how today went. Like yesterday, I wasn't expecting to record. In fact, I kind of was like, I probably won't. And then as soon as today came around and I felt like recording, it didn't come from a place of feeling like I have to, but it came from a place of I want to. I feel like the more that we let our creative energies ebb and flow, kind of like our emotions, the more we'll be able to regulate these things and not feel like we have to be ashamed of these slumps, whether that be in our creativity or our mental health, and that we can just go with the flow. Going with the flow is something I deeply struggle with, so I totally understand. But I know in my life, I'm trying to embrace those moments, to go like, hey, why am I feeling this way? How can I help myself, instead of just beating my head against a wall? And last question, finally, we're like an hour into this, it's 5. What's the process like when you're thinking of what video to do next, editing, the whole shabam? The way I kind of make my content is kind of just like whatever I'm in the mood for, you know? Just like whatever I'm feeling like doing, whatever I'm feeling inspired by. And typically I like write it down, and I have a whole list of things written down that I still have not done that I want to do. Going back to that question of like, how am I feeling? I'm feeling a lot better in a lot of ways. And so I'm feeling way more encouraged to do other things because I have more energy for them now. That's kind of where I like sort of trust my gut, I guess, is like, whatever I'm feeling like doing and feel like I have the energy and the like mental capacity and stuff like that to make the video, then I make a plan to sit down and record it, and then hopefully within a few days start to edit. I have past recordings that I've done months ago that I still have done nothing with because hasn't felt right yet, I guess. That's kind of like I go on a case-by-case basis, I suppose. And sometimes if it's too long, I'll just re-record it. So yeah, typically like I'll write something down, and if I'm feeling like it's the right time to make it, if I'm feeling, just feeling good about it, I sit down and record, or, record over a length of time, because it depends on the kind of video I'm making, if it's like a vlog or something. And then when I have all that recorded, hopefully within a similar amount of time, if I'm not procrastinating it, I then transfer it over to Final Cut, and then I edit it and then put it out there. Yeah, that's an area where I try to like trust my gut with it, see what I'm feeling inspired by. What's my muse, I think that is it. Hope you enjoyed my latest rambling. This was fun to do. I like just sitting down and kind of just chatting with you guys. I hope you enjoyed it too. So, thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for your questions. These were fun to answer. Maybe we'll do another Q&A. I can't talk. Maybe we'll do another Q&A sometime in the future. Let me know of any thoughts and feelings you have in the comments. I don't really know what exactly you'd have to say, but I'd love to hear it. Because there's no specific prompt in this video other than the questions you asked me. Just hanging out and chilling. So, I hope you're all doing well, but if not, I hope this video has brightened your day at least a little bit. Me rambling about my life and thoughts and feelings. I keep feeling like there's something else I want to say, but I pretty much always have that feeling because, as you know, I never shut up. And that is going to be it for today's video. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye! Hit the microphone. Bye!